New York, autumn of 1978. The streets around the Chronicle newsroom were thick with exhaust fumes and cigarette smoke, neon lights painting hurried faces in harsh colors. Sarah climbed the stone steps of the building, her worn heels clicking against the pavement, her heartbeat quickening with each step as though she were rising closer to her dream. At 24, she believed truth and effort would always be rewarded. With a notebook crammed full of observations, she was ready to prove she was no amateur in the ruthless world of journalism. In her first weeks, Sarah worked tirelessly. She spent nights chasing obscure leads, interviewing overlooked voices, piecing together stories others dismissed as trivial. She was convinced that if she remained faithful to truth, her work would speak for itself. Colleagues praised her in passing. "She's got fire." Editors smiled, clapped her on the shoulder like a mentor welcoming a protege. Sarah believed she had found a new family, but that family soon showed its teeth. On a Monday morning, the Chronicle ran a front-page expose on corruption in City Hall. The byline belonged to a seasoned reporter, Sarah's supposed mentor. Her breath caught when she read the words. Every paragraph, every statistic, every phrase bore her handwriting. These were the lines she had bled for during 2 sleepless weeks, evidence and testimony she had gathered with her own hands. Her name was nowhere when she confronted him. He merely gave a thin smile. "Listen, Sarah, this is a team business. Sometimes one person's work ends up under someone else's name. Think of it as a contribution to the paper. Your time will come." The words cut cold. A blade slipped between her ribs. Sarah wanted to scream, but when she looked around, her colleagues only shook their heads faintly. No one was surprised. No one defended her. Here, everyone knew the rules of the game. Only the naive still believed in fairness. That night, Sarah wandered down the avenue, clutching a battered copy of The Prince she had bought in a dusty second-hand bookstore. Machiavelli's words seemed to whisper across centuries. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. For the first time, she felt those words weren't meant just for princes or rulers, but for her, for a young reporter in the battlefield of journalism. She replayed the smiles of her colleagues, the warm praise, the firm handshakes. All masks. Behind them lay ambition, fear of being left behind, and raw self-interest. Sarah realized that if she kept seeing the world through clear, innocent eyes, it would devour her. The next morning, Sarah no longer entered the newsroom with the same bright-eyed eagerness. She sat quieter, more watchful. She noticed who smiled at whom, who avoided whose gaze, who always appeared in the editor's office just as news broke. Every gesture, every silence, held meaning. She began to understand that journalism was not just about writing stories. It was about reading people. The colleague who preached integrity flinched when others were praised. The editor who championed truth had his phone ringing constantly with calls from politicians. Sarah began drawing a map in her mind. Predators here, prey there, shifting alliances in between. And then, instead of rage, a new kind of strength stirred within her. If everyone wore masks, she would learn to see through them. If human nature was truly selfish, she would use that knowledge to survive. That weekend, Sarah sat at her wooden desk, scribbling in her journal. Never assume people are better than they are. To survive, I must see them as they truly are. Behind every smile lies a bargain. Behind every promise lies a motive. If I fail to see it, I will be swallowed whole. The first lesson carved itself into her bones. Masks always fall, and when they do, only the sharp-eyed survive. The newsroom buzzed like a hive. Phones rang off the hook. Typewriters clattered. Cigarette smoke curled lazily in the air. Sarah sat at her desk, watching the dance of appearances unfold. She had learned her first lesson. People were masks. Now she began to see something deeper. How easily those masks could shape reality. Across the room, she noticed Michael, a young reporter no more talented than the rest. Yet somehow, everyone spoke of him as if he were destined for greatness. He walked with quiet confidence, his tie always crisp, his words measured. At meetings, he didn't always know the answer, but he made people believe he did. When a story broke, Michael was the first to speak, framing the facts with sharp, confident phrases. even when the details were thin. By the time others caught up with the truth, the perception of his brilliance had already taken root. Editors leaned toward him. Colleagues whispered his name. Sarah realized that in this room, perception was stronger than reality, at least until reality caught up. Her mind echoed Machiavelli's warning. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. For everyone can see, but few can touch. It wasn't enough to have truth. What mattered was how truth appeared. One evening, Sarah stumbled upon a potential scandal in the mayor's office. She had documents, leads, and whispers from insiders, but the evidence was scattered, weeks away from being watertight. If she waited, someone else could seize it. If she rushed, she risked being crushed by doubt. That night, she remembered Michael's game. Perception first, reality later. The next morning, Sarah approached the editor with a calm fire in her eyes. "There's a storm coming," she said. "The mayor's office is hiding contracts, and I have the first threads. If we move fast, we'll own the story before anyone else touches it." She didn't show every page, only enough to spark curiosity. She spoke not like a nervous junior, but like someone who already knew. The editor leaned back, cigarette glowing, studying her. Finally, he nodded. "Dig. We'll clear space in the Sunday section. Make it big." Sarah walked back to her desk, heart pounding. She had just witnessed the power of illusion, the ability to control the story before it fully existed. But as she sat down, she also felt a warning hum inside her chest. Illusion could open doors, but it was fragile if reality shattered too soon. The mask could collapse and drag her down with it. Still, she understood now. In the war for influence, truth was slow, perception was lightning, and only those who mastered both could survive.